Hey buds, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm just here in my tent. It's a cool, warm summer night in June in Newfoundland. And I slept late today, so I'm bored, and I'm going to tell you about... Excuse me for a sec. I just feel like talking about this Western mountaineering Flylite, and that means this is going to include Western mountaineering's other sleeping bags that they have that are rated for 3 degrees Celsius, whatever they're called, whatever pieces of crap those bags are called, right? Like the Flylite is a piece of crap, and the Flylite is rated for 2 degrees Celsius. And I think it's important for somebody, me, because nobody has been talking about this this Flylite honestly, and it's a total scam, right? It's just a big ripoff. And it's going to get people in trouble, right? It's going to get people into serious trouble, right? Because the problem with that bag is people like me, right? What I did, and I'm a person, so if I did it, this is what people are gonna do. They're gonna say to themselves, well, if the Summerlite is such a good bag, then the Flylite must be comparable. And it's not. It's not at all comparable. Okay? So, as you know, the Summerlite is a good sleeping bag, and it's rated for 0 degrees Celsius, and it's following the bullshit American rating system instead of the European code, which means that its 0 degrees Celsius rating is going to be much higher than that. But in the Summerlite case, and I don't know exactly what statistic or what measurement would be used to generally say that whatever American rating should be into European rating, like whatever metric should be used, whether it's 10 degrees higher or whatever. But the I understand that for the Summerlite, it's actually equal to about 6 degrees Celsius by the proper European code. And it's, and I use it in freezing temperatures, and other people use it in freezing temperatures, and I've used it in -4, -5, right? With my clothes on, and a light down jacket on, right? But it's a good sleeping bag because it's only it's like 20 ounces or whatever, depending. It's roughly 20 ounces or whatever. So it's it's very light for how good it is. And so the problem there is that I bought a Flylite first, and that because I thought, well, gee, if the Summerlite is so good and the Flylite is rated at 2 degrees difference, well, it's probably, I reasoned that, since I could save a lot of weight with the Flylite, like 5 ounces, and there's only a 2 degrees difference, well, I should go with the Flylite. Because it's, this is Western mountaineering, and, they're making these great sleeping bags. And if they've got the Summerlite, which is 0 degrees, and the Flylite, which is plus 2 degrees, well, that's just a 2 degrees difference. And, of course, the Summerlite is not actually rated for 0, but just going by the company, you can compare that the Flylite should be 2 degrees better. I mean, 2 degrees, only 2 degrees worse than the Summerlite. Whether that would equal an 8 degrees comfort rating instead of a 6 degrees comfort rating, whatever. The point was that you would just reason that the Flylite is only 2 degrees different from the Summerlite. But that is not the case at all. The Flylite is a piece of crap. Even in 10 degrees in my basement, I was freezing cold in the Flylite. 10 degrees. I was indoors and freezing my ass off in this piece of crap sleeping bag. It was an absolute piece of crap. And it cost just as much money as a Summerlite. Now, the problem with... Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some of the lying that's going on with Western mountaineering. Okay? Now, some people, and the Americans especially, would view me as like some kind of a heretic or like some kind of a traitor or like some kind of a, like apostasy or whatever, right, for saying anything negative about the Western Mountaineering Company because, but it's like, fuck you. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm not an American, and I don't give a shit about your rating system of who and what and how, when not to say anything positive or negative about fucking mosquito. Oh, I got the bastard. That was a big one. Piece of shit. That's one nice thing about turning your flashlight off and just having your phone screen on, that little motherfucker flies right onto your phone screen where you can smash him. Fucking little prick. Okay. So, this thing with like, okay, so sorry about saying like that, but just so you know who I am and where I'm coming from and everything like that. I just speak honestly, period. Right? I mean, unless I'm personally friends with somebody. And I'm not personally friends with any company. Okay? Like, this is a fucking company, man. So, I don't owe them any favors of fucking discretion. Like, fuck you. Okay. So, with all that being said, the truth is that Western Mountaineering makes the best sleeping bags in the world. Okay, they're better than anything made in Europe. They're better than anything made anywhere. They're the best. They're the best fucking sleeping bags in the world. But that doesn't mean all their sleeping bags are good. Okay? And the Flylite is a fucking piece of shit. And just because it's got the Western Mountaineering tag on it, it doesn't make it a good sleeping bag. And just because Western Mountaineering makes great sleeping bags doesn't make them honest people, like, all the time about everything they do. And and especially with my experience in Canada, it's been my experience that people who fuck up lie, right? And when Western Mountaineering made that Flylite sleeping bag, they fucked up, okay? And so that means these people are gonna lie. And there's lying involved in that sleeping bag. And it's a fucking piece of shit. And they should stop selling it. And they should stop, marketing their other sleeping bags as only 3 degrees different from their Summerlite. Because that's the problem with Western Mountaineering, is they created a standard with their other sleeping bags. Like, they've got these other sleeping bags that have established that they are not rated according to European standards, but they are rated better than other American-made bags. So they created this precedent with their other bags. So just ignoring the fact that they don't adhere to the European code, let's just ignore that. And let's just say that Western Mountaineering has established their own rating levels, right? Because they're not as because they don't abide by the European code, but at the same time, their bags are better than the other American bags. So it's like they're in their own field, right? And they've established their bags have established, like, when you get to know their bags and you use their bags or whatever, you just know that, okay, well, if it's rated at 0 degrees, I can actually manage it. I can actually manage it around 0 degrees if I wear some clothes, or if I put a little bit of overfill in it or whatever. Like, it'll actually work, right? Not like the other American bags. Okay, So Western mountaineering establishes this precedent of they establish this understanding with their bags. Now, the problem is their other bags, they don't follow that Western mountaineering understanding. Their lighter rated bags do not follow Western mountaineering's own established rating system. Okay, so when you're looking at their antelope bag, okay, and their antelope bag is rated at -5. I don't know if that's right. I'm just basically making that up. But let's just say that the antelope bag is rated at -5. And so you could say to yourself, oh, okay, well, that means that the megalite, which is rated at -2, and I'm not even sure if that's right, but let's just say the megalite's rated at -2. So you can say to yourself, well, okay, so the antelope bag and the megalite bag, a -5 and a -2, just basically have a 3 degrees difference. So you can compare the two different bags, right? You can do that. You can so if you owned a megalite, you could understand what you could do with an antelope bag, because you could understand that there's a 3 degrees difference. And if the megalite is a -2 and the Summerlite is a 0 by Western mountaineering standards, then if you owned a megalite and you wanted to buy a Summerlite because it was lighter, you could tell yourself that you understand what the Summerlite can do, because there's an established precedent there, and because you're being told that there's a 2 degrees difference. So you can say, okay, well, the Summerlite is going to be a couple of degrees less good than the megalite. And you can make decisions about purchases with the different bags that Western mountaineering has, based on the precedent of these established ratings. Okay? That system goes down the toilet, right out the fucking window, with the Flylite, and presumably with their other bags that are rated around the Flylite rating, right? Because the Flylite is rated at 2 degrees, and they've got another bag that's rated at 3 degrees, and I think they got a couple of bags that are rated at 3 degrees. So these 2 degrees, like the 2 degree Flylite and the other 3 degree bags and stuff, they do not follow that Western mountaineering rating standard at all. Okay? So it's like, if you have an idea about the Summerlite and you try telling yourself, well, okay, so there's only going to be a couple of degrees difference if I buy the Flylite. Wrong. There is like a 10 or 12 degrees difference between the Flylite and the Summerlite. Like you're gonna die or something. Like you're gonna freeze your fucking ass off if you try telling yourself that there's only a 2 degrees difference between a Flylite and a Summerlite. Okay, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. Like, this is a fucking serious problem. Okay, so that's the problem with the Flylite, and presumably with the 3 degree bags that they got. Okay, and when they first came out with the Flylite, they actually said it was 1 degree. Celsius. And then I don't know how long it took them to decide that they would change that rating on their website to 2 degrees, but they initially said it was 1 degree. And and another problem with which there is, like, where did they come up with that? Where did they ever come up with a 1 degree Celsius rating? They're telling people that there's only, and this was their, like, this is, the Flylite bag is like Western Mountaineering's most embarrassing fuck up that they ever did. Because they came out with that bag as the 50th anniversary special, because the company had been in business for 50 years, so they wanted to make a special bag to celebrate being in business for 50 years, and they came up with this bag that embarrasses them by making them look like liars and cheats. Like, whose decision at Western Mountaineering was it to come up with this fucking bag? And they were even telling people that it was good for 1 degree Celsius. Like, happy anniversary, we're going to trick you and lie to you into spending a lot of money on a bag so that you can go freeze your fucking ass off. Because they were telling people that there was only a 1 degrees difference between the Flylite and the Summerlite. Like, oh my God, what the fuck did those people do by making that fucking bag? Okay. And it's another problem too, that they ended up changing their minds about calling it a 1 degrees bag, and they started calling it a 2 degrees bag, but they didn't run around and tell all of the vendors who sell their bags to change the information on those vendors' websites. So when you see the Flylite on vendors' websites, even today, the vendors are still calling it a 1 degree Celsius bag. I mean, people are seeing this Flylite bag and they're saying, wow, I've read all about the Summerlite, and I know that the Western Mountaineering Summerlite is a decent bag and you can manage with it in, winter. If it's not like a super -10 winter, if it's only going to go down to like -5 Celsius, like, you might be able to survive in the Summerlite, right? Like, you can manage it. Wear your clothes, wear a thin down coat, you can manage it. People are talking about this all over the internet, on the forums and stuff, right? But then they're seeing this Flylite and they're going, oh, there's only a 1 degrees difference, so I should just buy the Flylite because it's so much lighter. And oh my God, these people are getting into trouble, or they're getting ripped off, or both. And there's more to say about this Flylite being such a piece of shit too, because this company, what they did was they basically took the Summerlite as the model to slim down for their anniversary so-called special, and instead of putting and all they did to make it lighter was they took out the full zipper and replaced it with a quarter zipper or a half zipper or whatever. And if you don't know, that is not a good way to save weight, because Oh my God. Do you have any idea how fucking shitty a sleeping bag is that doesn't zip down to the feet? Your feet get hot and you can't unzip the bottom of the zipper to let your feet cool. You can't stick a foot out when you're cold, but your feet are hot. Like there are times where you just can't like sleep on top of your sleeping bag because it's so warm, and you need to be in your sleeping bag, but your feet are just hot. So you got to open up the bottom of the sleeping bag. Like, oh my God, what kind of a fucking, like, are they trying to make a good sleeping bag here? No, they were just trying to make it light. And so they did that to the zipper. And, oh my God. Oh my God. And they used the number 3 zipper. And it's like, whoa. Sleeping bags should have a number 5 zipper on it, okay? You're not doing anybody any favors by giving them a shitty little number 3 zipper that's gonna fucking break or whatever on a sleeping bag. Now, that's not the worst part. Another thing they did was they put 10D nylon on the sleeping bag. I was sleeping in this thing in my basement on a carpet. I was on a fucking carpet. And after some time, maybe after a couple of months, I slept in this thing for a couple of months in my basement right before winter came and I could experience the -10 temperature in my basement. And the underneath the foot box got holes in it because the nylon was so thin. I was sleeping inside a house on a carpet and I got holes in the sleeping bag from this shitty 10D. You don't put 10D nylon on a fucking sleeping bag. So I got holes in the fucking sleeping bag, even though I was sleeping on a fucking carpet. Like, this thing was a fucking piece of shit. So that's how they saved weight. They fucked up the zipper and they fucked up the nylon on the Summerlite. They just took the Summerlite and fucked up the zipper and fucked up the nylon. And that's all they fucking did. But that's not even the worst part. There's more. The baffles on the Summerlite are 1.5 inches. I emailed the company and I got the information from them. And the baffle walls in the Summerlite are 1.5 inches. That's how the bag is built. Okay, it's built with 1.5 inch walls in the baffles. You know, the walls. Okay, those walls inside the baffles are 1.5 inches. And the baffle walls inside the Flylite are smaller. So they saved, like, they skimped on the nylon inside the baffle walls so that you would have smaller baffles, thinner, narrower, shorter baffles. The loft on the baffles in the Flylite were skimped a lot. And this is where the lying happened by the company. And what they did was and they claim that, and I've got the email from them because I asked them, okay? And the person I was talking to, right? And I didn't email them in any accusatory way or whatever. I just emailed them in an inquisitorial manner and whatnot. And I got all of the information that I wanted. And they told me that the baffles on the Flylite are built in, what did they say? They said it was less than a half an inch. I think they said it was 3/8 or, no, I think they said it was half an inch. Yeah, they said it was half inch. Okay. So their own, and I've got the emails, I can prove all of this. So their own, by their own admission, the Flylite was built with half-inch baffles. And in truth, the Flylite I had only had 3/8 of an inch baffle walls. You know, the wall inside the baffle? Okay. It only had 3/8 of an inch. And when I first got the bag, I didn't even realize it had any baffle walls at all, because it just felt like it was just sewn right. It just felt like the baffles were just stitched right together. Like there wasn't any vertical wall inside the baffle. It just felt like there was just the dome top and the dome bottom, and those two domes just touched each other, and there was no wall in between them. That's how small the baffle wall was. Okay. But then I eventually got my fingers in there and figured it out and measured it and everything, and it's 3/8 of an inch. Okay. Now, even if that wall was a half an inch, what Western Mountaineering did was they took the 1.5 inch wall, and the wall is everything. The wall is how warm the sleeping bag is going to be, because the wall is how thick the baffle is going to be, right? That's your loft, right? If you've got a 1.5 inch wall, and then you've got the top of the dome and the bottom of the dome, okay, and that's the top of the sleeping bag, and then you've got, the bottom of the sleeping bag. That's how they end up coming up with their 4 inches of loft. Okay. Now, with the Flylite, if they've got only a half-inch wall, well, that means that they've got 1 inch less loft just in the top of the sleeping bag. And the way that loft works is you have to include the whole sleeping bag. So that's a 2 inches of loft difference, right? So by Western Mountaineering's own admission, the Flylite has a 2 inches of loft difference from the Summerlite, because they built it with a half-inch wall instead of a 1.5 inch wall, which equals 2 inches of loft difference in the bag. Okay, and if you know anything about sleeping bags, a 2 inches loft of difference is fucking astronomical. Okay, because even a half-inch difference of loft between two different bags is going to make a huge difference in how warm the sleeping bag is, right? And it's like that Aaron Linsdau video where he is explaining sleeping bags in one of his videos, and he tells you, like, and he's telling people, like, about how to shake the Western Mountaineering sleeping bag, and I think it was with the Megalite that he was talking about, I think. But he was shaking one of these Western Mountaineering sleeping bags, and he was explaining, like, you shake all the down, shake the sleeping bag and push all of the down into the bottom, or push a lot of it into the bottom, and if you can make the top of the sleeping bag a half inch smaller, then it's going to be much cooler, right? So even Aaron Linsdau in that video said, right, if you can change the loft by a half inch, that's going to make a big difference in the temperature of, and how warm the bag is. And here the Flylite has 2 inches less loft than the Summerlite. But Western Mountaineering did that to their Flylite. They gave it 1 inch less Baffle wall. To save weight, to take off those little bits of nylon. So that's how they got the sleeping bag. So that's one of the things that they did to make the Flylite lighter. Because, like I told you, all that Flylite was they just took the Summerlite, and they just tried to fucking rape it, right? They just tried to fuck it up. They just tried to fucking wreck it as much as they could so that they could make it lighter. And so what did they do? They fucked up the zipper, they fucked up the nylon, and they fucked up the loft. And then they said, to people that this is their bag that they're honoring their 50th anniversary with. Like, oh my God, this is like the worst. It is like watching somebody fall down the fucking stairs. This fucking Flylite sleeping bag. Like, it is like watching it's like watching a swan shit on itself, because this is supposed to be a graceful and reputable, it is a reputable company. Okay, so it's like watching somebody you admire just shit their pants. Right? It's like, that's what this fucking Flylite is. Like, I hate this fucking bag. Because it's like, why do these fucking assholes do this to themselves? Like, fuck you. Okay? But that's what they did. Like, whose decision at Western Mountaineering was it to make that sleeping bag? Like, fire that asshole. Like, fucking beat the shit out of him and fire him. Just fucking do something. But stop thinking that this Flylite is a good fucking bag, and start doubting those other bags that are rated close to the Summerlite. Like, they've got other bags that are 3 degrees, rated at 3 degrees, and their Flylite's rated at 2 degrees. They've got other bags that are rated at 3 degrees. Stop thinking that those bags are anywhere near as good as a Summerlite, because those bags were created after the Flylite, and they would be following the Flylite standard, the bullshit standard, where the bag is a piece of shit, and it's a fucking piece of shit. Right? So Western Mountaineering has 2 different Western Mountaineering rating systems. They've got the good Western Mountaineering rating system, which is the Summerlite and any bag that's going to be warmer than a Summerlite. And then they've got the bullshit liar fucking scammer Western mountaineering rating system, which is going to be the Flylite and presumably any other bag that's around the Flylite range, like the 3 degrees bags. Okay, so what else can I say? I think that covers it. I think Western Mountaineering needs to apologize to the world, and I think anybody who owns who bought a Flylite, is entitled to compensation from that company, right? Because they lied, and even their website has a big lie on it still. And that lie is that the Flylite has 3.75 inches of loft. And that's just a lie. Because the Summerlite has 4 inches of loft. And this Western Mountaineering website says that the Flylite has 3.75 inches of loft. And of course it doesn't, and they even admit that it doesn't, because it can't have 3.75 inches of loft when it is only built with 1/2-inch walls. Okay? The Summerlite has 4 inches of loft because it's built with 1.5-inch walls. Okay? So the Flylite can't have 3.75 inches of loft because it's only built with it's only built with 0.5 inches of loft. Okay? And when I've laid my Flylite beside my Summerlite, it's like putting a piece of paper beside a pillow. Like the fucking Summerlite is twice as thick as the Summerlite is twice as thick as the Flylite. And here these fucking assholes at Western Mountaineering have been like the Catholic priest, the abusive Catholic priest, or the abusive cop, or just, whatever abusive person, like resting on their laurels, or like whatever expression works to explain that, they've just been using appearances and whatever assumed reputation that they have to, abuse people and be fucking assholes, right? Because they're just so fucking arrogant to just even put a big lie on their website and just lie to people and say that this Flylite has 3.75 inches of loft. Like, nobody's going to put a Summerlite beside a Flylite and say, or like nobody's going to measure a Flylite and say, this thing doesn't have 3.75 inches of loft. Like, nobody's going to do that because nobody's going to criticize or question Western Mountaineering because they're so great. Like, that's what this company ended up doing. They ended up creating a good reputation for themselves just so they could abuse it. And that's what pisses me off. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't buy Western Mountaineering bags, because at the end of the day, these people make the best bags. They just do. So you don't stop. I mean, you don't. You don't go on a hunger strike and kill yourself to prove a point, because Who gives a shit? Fuck you. Go on a hunger strike, you fucking idiot. Right? And it's the same thing with, Western mountaineering. Like, they, they're not, whatever. Like, they're not perfect people, and they can be pretty dishonest, and they lied about, and they lied about their Flylite, and they continue to lie about it. They continue to tell people it has 3.75 inches of loft when it doesn't. They continue to tell people that it's rated for 2 degrees Celsius, or to say it better, they continue to tell people that it's only 2 degrees different from the Summerlite, and of course it's not. And, what are you going to do? Well, you just are aware of the situation, and you just buy a Summerlite, is what you do. Right? Or if a Summerlite's still not warm enough for you, you buy their Megalite. You know you're getting a great bag, and these are great fucking bags. But I'm just saying, Western mountaineering can be dishonest people, and the Flylite's a fucking piece of shit, and any other bag that they have that's like 3 degrees or whatever, I'm sure is nowhere fucking near a Summerlite at all, and all their 2 degrees and 3 degrees bags are probably just complete fucking pieces of shit. Okay, what else can I say? I wanted to say something more about their walls, like, yeah, I think I said everything that I wanted to about their walls. But, I mean, and it's not even a 1/2-inch wall. Like my Flylite was 3/8 of an inch. And you can measure the walls. You just get in there with your fingers, and if you've got some decent dexterity with your fingers, you can find that little wall, and you can pull it apart, and you can put a little tape measure in there. Like my compass has a tape. My compass has like measuring lines on it, and it's a nice stiff little compass, and I can put it in there just right and confirm that it's only 3/8 of an inch wall. And so that's not even a 1/2 inch. So everything I said about the Summerlite, everything I said about the Flylite having 2 inches less of loft, like, it's even more than that, because it's not even a 1/2 inch. Okay. Now I'm also going to tell you one secret thing about the Summerlite. Okay. And I told you the Summerlite's a great bag. Buy one. Okay. But I'm going to tell you a secret thing about this fucking bag. Okay. It is possible to find Summerlites that have 2-inch walls. My Summerlite has a 2-inch wall. Do you know what that means? Yeah, I told you. There's a big difference in a 1/2 inch of loft. So the Western Mountaineering Company makes their sleeping bags with, a certain blueprint, and they're all built with 1.5 inch walls. And I've seen other Summerlites, and I've checked their walls, and they're 1.5 inches, just like they're supposed to be. But the walls in my Summerlite are 2 inches. Okay? So there are like angels working for Western Mountaineering in the sewing department who are, and not all of the sewers are going to do this, but because this bag is just, I don't know, such a great bag, and because they're handmade, and because these sewers are just, maybe some of them are just going to be cool people, they're building them with fucking 2 inches. They're just making the wall 2 inch. They're just making the wall 2 inches instead of 1.5 inches. And that's what they did to mine. And so what that means is that it's way fucking warmer than it would be if it only had 1.5 inch walls. So if you're gonna buy a Summerlite, I would say don't order it over the internet or whatever. Go to a big store that has them and bring your little measuring stick and dig in there and measure those walls and try to get one that's got 2 inch walls. And another thing too is that if you phone that company and you're real nice, and they're North Americans, so they like girls. They don't like guys asking them for favors and stuff, right? But if you get your girlfriend or your sister or whatever to phone them, right? And just be real nice and just ask to buy some down from them, they'll sell you a couple ounces down or a few ounces down, and however much down you want, and they'll even sell, right? And they'll even sell you some nylon if you want. Like I got my sister to get me some 10D nylon because I just wanted it for something, and she got me a couple ounces of down. And they've got the best down. They've just got the best down in the world. It's not, and like, I've criticized Western Mountaineering a lot here. But one thing is, but I'm so pissed off about them because they're supposed to be an honest company, and they're very honest about down. Like, they say, listen, we are not going to use this treated down, like this hydro tech fucking wanker down shit that's sprayed with chemicals and crap, because it's fucking garbage. And so they don't treat their down because that wrecks the down. Okay? And it's impossible to find untreated down. Okay? So, and they've just got this great down they call it 850 down, but it's actually more like probably 900, but they just choose to call it 850 to be on the safe side. And it's just the best down. So depending on your sleeping bag, you can get like I just got 2 ounces of down from them. And because I've got 2 inch walls instead of 1.5 inch walls, which basically means I've got a 6 inch loft. What does that basically mean? My bag should be 4 inches of loft, but I've got an extra 1/2 inch. So 5 inches. Yeah, so my sleeping bag has 5 inches of loft. But most Summerlites would only have 4 inches of loft. Right. So because I got 5 inches of loft, I could easily overfill it with 2 inches of down. And I actually could have put 3 ounces in there, and maybe even 3.5, maybe even. I have a feeling if I put 4 inches of down in there, it would be probably, well, depending. Like, well, I don't want to talk too much about stuffing my bag and whatnot, but I mean, Jesus. I mean, if you want all the details, I don't bother caring about how much down I have on the bottom of my sleeping bag. Okay. So I only care about how much down, and because that's, so where my pad goes and where my body goes, I don't, I don't even put any down there because I'm just flattening it anyways. Okay. So with that understanding, where, like, so that much sleeping bag does not have any down in it at all, but the rest of my sleeping bag does. And so with that understanding, my sleeping bag with its extra 1/2 inch wall, I think 3.5 inches of down would have been excellent. But if you've only got, my 2 ounces of down overfill was pretty good. But I mean, the hip area I couldn't overfill. So those baffles so that's where my sleeping bag is weak, is around the hips and around the shins. But I loaded the torso, and then I loaded so 4 baffles in the torso I loaded, and 1 baffle over my thighs I loaded. And then I was out of down. So I really wish I ordered at least another ounce of down to get the other baffles loaded. And the way that I did it was I simply sliced the baffles open with a razor blade, stuffed them with a pop bottle and a chopstick, okay, and then closed the slices with tenacious tape. Like, hello, how easy is that? And it took me a few hours, and I was done. Meanwhile, people are like sending their sleeping bags to Western Mountaineering to get them overstuffed and get them sewn and all this shit. Oof, hello, waste of fucking time. Okay, so the way that you do that is, so I'll just tell you everything in this video here. So the way you do that is, you just take a pop bottle, cut the bottom off, and then you can simply just, and you don't want to slice a hole. You don't want to make a slice in the sleeping bag too long, because tenacious tape, the Geary company will even tell you that their product is good for slices that are 2 inches long or shorter. If you got anything longer than 2 inches, tenacious tape might be a problem. Okay, so you want to keep your slice definitely less than 2 inches. And it turns out that making a slice about 1 inch and 3/4, about 1.75 inches, is perfect to put a pop bottle head into, right? And you just got to be delicate and gentle and careful. And so you just slip that pop bottle head into the hole, and you hold the pop bottle with one hand, and by holding on to the sleeping bag and just pinching like a donut shape with your fingers and just holding the sleeping bag material around the pop bottle head, right? And then you just load up the pop bottle from the back because you cut the bottom off it, and you just jam all the down into the sleeping bag with a chopstick. You just push the down through the. You understand? What else can I say about that? Yeah, so I told you about that too. And what else can I say about these Western mountaineering things? I think that's it. Oh, and if you don't know, the best tenacious tape to use is the black nylon tape. They've got a tape that they call their clear tape. That clear tape is fucking shit. Okay, it's because it doesn't bend. And it's not made out of nylon. It's like some kind of plastic shit. Okay? So you want to use their nylon tape. Just their standard nylon tape. Okay. And they got a bunch of different tapes, but just their standard nylon tape, their most popular basic tape. What else can I say about this Western mountaineering stuff? I think that's it. All right. I told you guys everything about Western mountaineering, bags, and hope it helps you out. Make good decisions. Okay, buds. Good night. Good talk. Take care later.